Hello, my beautiful bookish friends, and welcome back to my channel. So today, I know I'm a little bit late, but I'm going to be doing my January wrap up because I did not read as many books as I thought I did in January. Definitely nothing compared to last year. However, I did get a Kindle for Christmas, so I have a lot of different books to talk about, a lot of different authors I've never read from before, and of course, a ton of KU romance to talk about. So let's get into it. First book I read was actually a novella. It was Merriment and Mayhem. This was part of the Under the Mistletoe series that was exclusive to Kindle. Tessa Bailey had one in there. I read all 5, but because my Kindle came after Christmas, I didn't get to read all the KU Christmas stuff until later on. So I ended up reading all 5 of them, like basically on New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. But Merriment and Mayhem is a firefighter romance. Like I said, it's a novella, so it's only like 120 pages. Maybe I think it's even less than that. It is this girl who has inherited her grandmother's house, and she's trying to like clean it up and get it in working order, but there's just things keep going wrong, and she keeps interacting with this one firefighter, and they start dating, and it's just this cute little Christmas holiday romance. I thought it was great. It was cute. It was the perfect length. Nothing felt super rushed, even though it was a novella. Like, everything had its own little moment, which I really loved, and I think shows that there is no need for a romance over 400 pages ever. That's my personal opinion. I don't need a 3-book, 500-page per book romance to get my attention. Just 100 pages is fine. Also read Only Santa's in the Building. This is obviously like a nod to Only Murderers in the Building. This one was a little bit different. This one was there was a little bit of a mystery in it because the main character keeps getting these like handmade ornaments left on her door, and she's trying to figure out which neighbor of hers is doing it. That one was really cute. That one's really good if you like old people who are like scheming to get the young people to like fall in love. That's a really cute one. That one was only like 68 pages. The next one I read, I think I read it the same day, was Honkers Under the Holly, and this is part of the it's sports romances that are all written by Amy Ayward. The Wiener Around the Way, and it has like the wiener dog in it. Like, all of her stuff there's like an animal involved, and that animal I think is kind of like the catalyst to the romance, it seems like, because in this one the main character is a plus size model who is struggling to get gigs, and she's working at Oktoberfest festival, and there is a goose that she saves from being turned into a goose dinner, and a sports agent that ends up, they kind of use the goose to get like social media attention for her and his client. That one, I will say, there was some more like ridiculousness included in it that didn't really, like, I was kind of like, what? Like, I don't know that would really happen, or that's how that works. But again, it was just super fun and very cute. Next, I listened to When a Sorceress Comes to Call on audio. I do have this book physically. It's in my Pango pile. I think actually maybe someone just bought it. I feel like I just shipped it out. This one is T. Kingfisher. I never read anything by T. Kingfisher before, and I feel like I thought was going to be something different than it was. I guess again, it was book of the month, so I feel like their synopsis is very different than what the book actually ends up being about. I don't know, this kind of fantasy, like, this was like kind of a magical realism, sometimes isn't my favorite, and I felt like this one was probably a 3-star for me. It's a girl and her mom who are kind of living somewhat destitute. Her mother is a sorceress, and she decides that she's going to get herself a rich man, or she's going to get her daughter married to a rich man so that they can be provided for the rest of their lives. Her daughter has basically no idea how to behave in high society because they are not from high society, but her mother acts like they are. So it's her trying to learn her etiquette. There's a lot of, I would say, kind of anxiety moments. She definitely has some of that where she thinks she's done something very, very wrong, and everyone else around her, other than her mother, see it as a very small, minuscule misstep and don't really care. So there's the magic system in it, I guess, is what threw me off. Like, her mother is using very high magic, but there's no explanation really as to why her mother has this magic, or like she turned her horse is a familiar, so he's more like a demon. Like, there were just some things that I think I either missed or there was a disconnect on that I was kind of confused about. So I liked the concept, and the setting was very interesting. There is a very deep, like, fairy tale feeling to it. I just didn't like, I felt like it needed a bit more fleshing out, and some parts were really drawn out where that could have been turned into a better explanation of the magic. The next one I read again on my Kindle. This was Behind the Net. This is a hockey romance by Stephanie Archer. I actually have the second one in the series here on my shelf. I bought it a long time ago, not realizing it was the second book in a series. So now that I have my Kindle, I read the first one. I was really excited about this one, and I'm not gonna lie, some of it was a little bit of a disappointment. I think it suffers from what a lot of self-published stuff suffers from, and that's repetitiveness. I know I catch this in my own writing a lot, that I'll repeat certain phrases, or something seems like it should be used over and over again and maybe it shouldn't. This one for me, like, he called her Songbird, like, 'cause she's a singer, and eventually it got like overused. I think it was a little bit too much. Like, yes, it's like obviously a pet name, but it also just like really got drawn out. That kind of threw me off. Also, this one was 432 pages. If it wasn't on Kindle, I probably wouldn't have even read it yet. Again, some of it was very drawn out, and there was a lot of I don't think that's how that works kind of stuff. I also think this suffers from being a trendy write instead of a... I'm not trying to discredit anyone's work, but I think like hockey romances are very popular right now, and it felt like it was just written to kind of fit the hockey narratives. The girl is very into Taylor Swift, and that's a very big part of it, and there's just like references to a lot of pop culture stuff that's of the time, which I don't always really like. Some of it felt just like everything was very convenient. Everything was very like, oh, this worked out for her because of this, this, and this. Like, I still need a little bit of realism along with the escapism. I hope this is all making sense. It felt like she's clearly based off Taylor Swift, and like this was supposed to be kind of a hockey version of maybe Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. So that I think threw me off a little bit, and didn't really settle with me. And also the side characters that are clearly setting up for the next one, I didn't feel like they actually should be interested in each other. So that kind of bumped this one down for me. But like I said, I'm really happy I didn't buy this whole series like I initially intended to. I will probably read the second one, but if I don't like the second one, then I'll just DNF the series. Next one I listened to was A Novel Love Story. This one was set in a small town that technically doesn't exist. It is a town that an author who died kind of very young wrote, and this girl is kind of obsessed with. Like, it's her, like Stars Hollow. Like, if you watch Gilmore Girls, it feels very like that. Like, it's very Hallmark movie. Everything is very perfect, and she's romanticized this town in her head, and somehow she ends up there when she is going through a divorce, and she is trying to figure out her life all over again. Like, her friends are all moving on in life in a very different way. They are married and they found their person, or their jobs are perfect, like, and she's not anywhere near any of that. So she's feeling very lost, and she ends up in this town, and she meets this guy who's not in any of the books, but all the other people are in the books. So she's trying to figure out who is he, and she finds the final manuscript that wasn't finished, and, you know, she kind of has to help everybody finish their stories. A little bit magical realism. There is some very real, like, grief and sadness kind of things happening, but I really liked it at the beginning. But then it felt like they fell in love very quickly, especially given the circumstances. And also, I don't know, I was kind of confused at parts, like it felt half-baked, where like the friendships seemed very genuine, but the romance wasn't. So I don't know that I will read anything else by this author. I know she wrote The Dead Romantics and The 7-Year Slip. And I know some of these are kind of similar in tone, so I don't know that I will read anything else by this author, so I'm glad I borrowed this from the library. I did read a Geronimo Stilton after that, just as like a palate cleanser, since I had kind of 2 back-to-back reads that didn't really sit with me very well. And I did start The Only One Left by Riley Sager. However, I DNF'd it just because I ran out of time with my hold. I will say I think I'm gonna like this one better than I've liked other Riley Sagers. I know I've talked about, it always seems like there's a woman going through something, and that's definitely prevalent right out of the gate with this one. However, I think the story is a bit more engaging, and it's not just trauma for trauma's sake. Also, the main kind of story seems very based off Lizzie Borden, and that was like my hyperfixation in middle school, was Lizzie Borden and what she did, and the Lifetime show came out with Christina Ricci at the time that kind of went into some different theories. I'm still interested in this one. I will probably get back to it at some point, just ran out of time. And the last book, I did listen to it on audio, but I have it physically, and I'm going to continue with the series, is The Heartless Hunter. This one is the start of a witch hunter, witch romantasy kind of thing we have going on. This one is, there is the Crimson Moth. She is a witch that is helping witches escape this island that does not allow witchcraft, back to the mainland that does allow witchcraft and doesn't really care if you're a witch. This island, however, executes witches very publicly. It's very brutal, very bloody, and it's kind of like a big show whenever they do it. So she is helping them get out. She plays this kind of dumb aristocrat while she's very, very smart. She has 2 friends that are kind of helping her, but along the way, she is kind of playing this witch hunter, but really falling in love with him, and he suspects her, so they're playing this game back and forth that the other one thinks that the other one doesn't know about. I really enjoyed it. I think the next book, I'm hoping it's just a duology. I think the next book could wrap it up very quickly. However, I feel like it's probably a trilogy. Yeah, I think I read 9 books-ish. A lot of them novellas, so a lot of short little ones there. However, February, I'm kind of cleaning my slate of stuff I started in January. I think just 2 that I'm currently reading that I'm almost done with. So hopefully I get to a lot more new releases. I did have a nonfiction in there that I started in January, finished in February. So we'll talk about that when we get to it. But yeah, February is already shaping up to be a productive reading month. Usually it is for me. So I'm hoping to keep that going. And I hope you guys are enjoying your winter reading. I know January was just kind of like a mess. So hopefully this month is being nice to you. And I hope to see you guys in the next video.